Ladies and gents, hello and welcome to today's video. In front of me here is an iPad Pro. This is the 2018 model and it's the 12.9 inch screen size. I've got it here with the Apple Pencil. This is the second generation, as well as the Smart Folio case, and I also have the Magic Keyboard with trackpad. We're going to be testing all of these things out. Today's video is going to be a review on the 2018 iPad Pro, now that it's been out for almost 6 years. Should you buy one of these? What are some things it's good at? What are some things it struggles at? And I'll give you an overall perspective here on this device. Let's begin with the most prominent feature, and that is the display. This is a 12.9 inch liquid retina display, as they call it. And it's very nice, but it is not mini LED, such as the newer 4th and 5th generation iPad Pros have. So if we take a look here, I'm going to set the comparison on Apple's website. We're going to go 3rd gen, 4th gen, and 5th gen. So these are all 12.9 inch iPads. This is the device we have here. Of course, the 12.9 inch display is going to be the same in P3 color, True Tone, yada yada. Here's where the differences begin. And I'm actually going to change this because the 3rd and 4th gen are essentially the same iPad. The only difference is the addition of an ultra-wide camera, one more GPU core, and an extra 2 gigabytes of RAM. So I'm going to make this one the 6th gen. I forgot that's what it was called. And we'll make this the 5th gen. So the 5th gen is the M1, 6th gen is M2. So here we go. A12X is the CPU inside of our iPad Pro here. It's an 8-core chip, and it's not very capable anymore in comparison to the M1 and the M2. Same goes for the graphical performance. Now, we do have a USB-C connector here on the side there. This was the first device to feature a USB-C connector for Apple. It was the first iOS device, I should add. But it does not support Thunderbolt or USB 4. Face ID is right here. We've got that on all those models, along with 4 speakers. So we have a speaker there, speaker right there, and right there. And they sound really nice. These are some powerful speakers. Moving down here, Wi-Fi is quite a bit slower on our device, but they support the same accessories, and these are the storage configurations. So the screen is obviously the big feature of this iPad, and it looks really nice. My specific model here does have a screen protector. It's one of those paper-like screen protectors where when you're using your Apple Pencil, it kind of feels like you're typing or writing on paper instead of glass. It does have a nice feel, but it does create kind of a rainbow effect on some of the colors. I'm not sure if that's going to pick up on camera, but you can kind of see how that texture looks there on the device, and it sort of mutes the reflections, which is actually pretty nice. I like it. I'm not sure I would use it for my own personal device, but I think it's a nice touch, especially if you spend a lot of time writing with the Apple Pencil. We do have notability here. So if we hop into a note here, they changed the interface, but we do have a bunch of options. And of course you can use this without the Apple Pencil, but would highly recommend you use the Apple Pencil here. And this handwriting is going to be awful because I don't type. I don't like to handwrite vertically like this. I like to do this way, but I'll have to tilt the camera for that. Like that. And now you're capable of writing with that Apple Pencil, and it does feel very nice. If you're getting one of these for school, you got to have that Apple Pencil. It is a great feature here on our iPad Pro, 12.9 inch 3rd generation. All right, so if we're talking about this iPad just by itself, and you take away the case, you take away the pencil, a very capable device in the sense that you can play games on it, you can watch content such as YouTube, Netflix, TV shows, all those things, and the device feels incredible. It is so thin, and it's got a flat back. The only bump there is a little bit on the camera, which is actually a tiny bit annoying if you're laying the device flat on a surface with no case. Although actually the 12.9 inch doesn't have this, but the smaller one actually has a little bit of a tilt to it. This one just kind of bends into place. That's not a big deal at all. But speaking of that camera, it's a 12 megapixel lens. It's the same one you would find on the iPhone XR. So that kind of gives you some perspective there on the quality. But It takes okay pictures. You can do 4K 60 FPS video, but there is no optical image stabilization. That was actually a feature Apple removed from the iPad Pro. It was there in the 2nd gen, but the 3rd gen got rid of it. So overall, if you're using this for media consumption, you're taking notes, using Safari, YouTube, that sort of thing, it's a very quick and fast device. Maps look great, the screen is wonderful, but the performance on this iPad is not that good. So if we load up Geekbench here and we look at our history, this was a test I ran. Now to put this in comparison, this is about what you would expect from an iPhone 11 Pro, more or less. And compared to the modern iPads, this is really slow. Here we have a comparison. This is the M2 iPad Pro 11-inch. You can take a look at those scores there next to each other. Big difference here. And one of the things that this iPad struggles with is that it only has less than 4 gigabytes of RAM. So you're kind of going to have to be reloading applications in the background just like that. It looked like it was there, but once you click it, it had to reload. And iOS is becoming more and more demanding, so stuff takes up more memory. Now, let me load up Minecraft here, and I'll show you a comparison. We'll go ahead and load that here on our 2018, and then I'm also going to load that here on the M2, so you can see how much of a difference there really is in the devices here. So I'm going to create a new world on both of these. We'll do creative. I'm going to try to make them as the same. We'll do 9999 for our seed. Hopefully they're going to be the same here. All right, and they are going to create the world here. I'll be shocked if that M2 doesn't finish ahead of our 2018. The chip inside of here is incredible. Going from a 2018 to the M1 or M2, it's a night and day difference. So if you're debating between these two devices, I would definitely say try to get the M1, and if you can, get the M2. They're pretty similar, but there are some features on the M2 that are a little bit better. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and turn the render distance up as far as we can go. So on the M2, that's going to be 22 chunks. And on our 2018, that's going to be 13 chunks. So we'll start here with the 2018. And I'm just kind of going to walk around. I'll actually probably fly around here so you can get a feel for. The gameplay is pretty smooth. It's a little stuttery. I'm recording this video in 60 FPS. The display on this iPad is 120, which is rather demanding. But so far it looks good, but we're kind of struggling to load parts of the map here. So we're actually going to fly out of bounds there because these blocks have not loaded. There we got stuck, could not go any further, getting stuck again. So this thing just cannot keep up. And you can see there, render distance is not that good. And it's taking a long time for this to load. So it is actually a pretty smooth experience here. Looking around, that sort of thing. Now, let's do the same thing here on our M2 iPad. So this, remember, this is the same world. And we can already tell we're able to see much further because of that render distance is nearly doubled. So I'm going to go ahead and fly this way. And we're going to see what happens. I don't think we're going to be able to reach the edge. I bet this thing is going to keep rendering quicker than we can fly. So we're going to try to get there to the edge, and I'm not sure it's going to happen. The world is loading in much quicker than we're able to reach. We'll try over here. Nope, it was able to catch up pretty quickly there. So overall, this is a great experience here on the M2 iPad, and I would say it's decent on the 2018. So we'll put that aside for now, and we'll go back over here. So one thing to note, this is a big iPad, and for me, if I were to hold it like this, I cannot access the entire display. I can't even get my thumbs to touch on each side like that. So that makes typing on here a little bit difficult. You can't just hold it and type. I mean, you can. You really got to stretch your fingers. And you could do that in portrait mode here, and that would be just fine. But it's a large display. That's what I'm getting at. Most people are going to use this on a flat surface, on a table, or you're going to use it with the case. And that brings me to the next point here, We're going to swap that case out. And we're going to bring in this thing. This is Apple's Magic Keyboard. This was introduced, I believe, with the 2020 iPad Pro, something like that. But it sits very nice on there. It kind of floats. And you've got a keyboard and a trackpad, and it works just like a MacBook would. You can scroll on it. You can move the trackpad just like that. And you can type on the keyboard. So if we do iPad Pro Magic Keyboard, and we'll head over here to Apple's website, you can see there it is. Look at that price, $350. That is insane. The 11-inch is $299. Unbelievable. I think this is the same one. There may have been different models here. It does actually have a little USB-C port there on the side. You'll be able to see that better on the picture compared to what I can show you. It is a really nice keyboard. You can find these used for like between $100 and $150. Comes in white and black. And honestly, it's okay, but I don't think it's worth the money. And iPad OS is rather limiting in the fact that it can't run a full desktop experience. And with this case, you can't fold this back behind itself. This is as far as it goes. So if you want to hold and use the iPad like a tablet, you have to lift it off and disconnect it. And that's maybe a little cumbersome. The magnets are strong. I mean, this thing's not going anywhere on this device. And the hinge is nice as well. It folds up just like that. The Apple logo is sideways, so that could be kind of bothersome if you're holding it like this. But overall, this adds like 1.5 pounds to the iPad. I mean, this thing is like significantly heavier now, and it's quite a bit thicker. This is on par with probably like a MacBook Air in terms of weight and size. There's our USB-C port. So overall, the iPad Pro 12.9 inch 2018 is a great device. It's got a really nice screen. Speakers are awesome, and getting that 120 FPS display is really special. But some of its shortcomings are its speed's not quite as snappy as it used to be, although the interface here seems to be handling that just fine. But once we start to do some demanding things such as gaming or having a bunch of stuff open in the background, we're going to start to run into some performance issues. If you're upgrading from a first or second gen iPad Pro, this will be a huge step up for you. If you're looking to get an iPad Pro for the first time, this is a great device. It's got USB-C, amazing speakers. I mean, it really is a solid tablet. And when we're talking about macOS updates, this iPad is currently running 17.3.1. I'm sure this will get iOS 18 and probably 19, so a couple more years of updates there. But if it were up to me and your budget allows for it, try to find an M1 or an M2 iPad Pro. They're significantly better. They are more powerful. They have a better display. Battery life's a little better, and I think they're going to get more updates in the future. But if you're looking for something in the $400 to $600 range, depending on capacity, go for one of these. This is a 64 gig model, and quite frankly, that's going to fill up really quickly. So let me show you guys here. There's hardly anything on this iPad, and we're already down to basically 40 gigabytes. And if you're throwing photos, if you got a bunch of notes, movies, Netflix downloads, that sort of thing, this is going to fill up really fast, and you're going to run out of space pretty quickly. So my recommendation is to get the 256 or the 512 gigabyte. If you can afford it, go for that 1 terabyte, and you'll actually get an extra 2 gigs of RAM. Little fun fact there: the 1 terabyte iPad Pro has 6 gigabytes of RAM. Interesting little tidbit. All right, that's going to do it for this review. I hope it was helpful if you're looking to buy one of these. And yeah, it's a great iPad. Hope you enjoyed this video. Leave some comments down below if you have any questions about it, or if you have any other cool details about the iPad Pro 2018 that you'd like to share with the rest of us. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in another one of my videos.